Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for, you guessed it, the second in 2 days, Chelsea news. We've got a load of stories to go through today. A little bit different to normal. I thought because Chelsea news has been ever so slightly boring over the course of recent weeks, I've decided to bring in the player ratings concept that you guys remember from the end of last season. I didn't do it that often because most of the time people watch 6 Things We Learn and then the player ratings afterwards is a little bit overkill in terms of post-match analysis of a game. But for the news stories, we're going to take a look at each one. I'm going to give my views on the likelihood of the story actually happening by giving the colour system of green, yellow or red. And then I'm also going to give my personal rating out of 10 as to whether or not I believe that the outcome of this story is in Chelsea Football Club's best interests, or whether I'm actually personally happy with the decision, or whether, of course, I am not. It is very bright. Let me just adjust this. I also want to let you guys know that GBFC Select has been running throughout the whole of the Euros. I've not been making that many YouTube videos, so you guys may not have known about it. I'll leave a link in the description. Chance to win some money in both the Italy-Spain game and also England versus Denmark. Link is in the description to sign up. Got to be 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. So without any further ado, I've got a pretty long list of potential stories. Well, I say potential stories. They're stories with potential outcomes for Chelsea. The first one being from Fabrizio Romano's podcast, where he stated that Callum Odoi is going to stay at Chelsea this summer. Because of the amount of game time that Callum has had since he broke into the Chelsea team, there's always talks that he might be leaving Chelsea, which from a Chelsea fan's perspective is proof that there are so many good quality players at Chelsea that actually keep Callum Odoi out of the side. So we're not just relying on the youthful presence of Odoi coming up through the Chelsea Academy in order for Chelsea to be successful. We've got so many players in the position that Callum plays in that of course he's going to have spells coming in and coming out of the team. And with all of the talks about Bayern Munich, there was the little side hustle story of maybe Odoi is part of a deal for Haaland from Dortmund. Maybe that one does rear its head again. But the fact of the matter is, according to Fabrizio Romano, Callum Odoi is set to stay at Chelsea this coming season, with Thomas Tuchel being very keen and happy to make Callum part of his plans. Now, I firmly believe that this is a green light. I think Callum Odoi will be staying at Chelsea next season, and in terms of how happy I am about that, I'm actually very happy indeed. I think Callum is one of those players who's a ticking time bomb. I've said this before. I think he is 3 or 4 games in a row where he delivers away from turning around this form, and we start talking about a breakthrough youngster the same way right now we're talking about Bukayo Saka for England, Phil Foden for Manchester City in England, this kind of player. Obviously Odoi is of a similar age to these guys, but players like Saka are playing in a team where there is far less competition in those positions. And I think that Callum Odoi, when we talk about that potential, is on the same kind of level of a player like Saka, but obviously he plays for a bigger and a better club. So that is my opinions on that one. Odoi set to stay. I'm very happy about that. We move into story number 2. I'm going to take a little look on the phone. I've got 6 things for us to talk about today, which I know we all miss 6 things we learned. If you do, slap a like rating on this video today. The second story is regarding Emerson, the man who is set to start tonight for Italy in their game against Spain in the semi-finals of European Cup, as well as the man we spoke about in yesterday's GBFC video, Jorginho, set to start, of course, for Italy as well. So Chelsea looking to offload Emerson this summer. He did score that special goal against Atletico Madrid to secure and seal the deal in the last 16 of our Champions League run. Chelsea want 25 million for Emerson, which, considering he's actually playing a lot more of a part now for Italy in their quest for European glory because of Spinazzola's injury, which is also a player that Chelsea were potentially linked with, Emerson is now the first choice left back for Italy. And this is a big thing in terms of Chelsea being able to use the example of the game time, and let's say Italy do go on to win the competition, Emerson's value raises ever so slightly. And if Roma are interested, of course, Jose Mourinho's Roma, Chelsea want to hold out for 25 million. We're also looking to offload Marcos Alonso potentially this summer as well. So I think 25 million for Emerson, a player who last season didn't really feature that much at all, with Chilwell as number 1, Alonso a very reliable backup. I think Emerson leaving Chelsea isn't something that any of us can begrudge for his playing time. time and just simply because he is probably third choice left back. I think he's a very good player. I just don't think he's at Chilwell's level. So for this one, I've given it a green light, and I do think that Emerson will be leaving Chelsea soon. So in terms of potential of it happening, I've given it a 9 out of 10. We move into story number 3, and it is regarding Ben White. You know, that Brighton defender who Arsenal just decided to slap 50 million down on the table for. I will say this, I think Ben White is a decent centre-back. However, I also think that if he was to come in at Chelsea, I could count at least 3 centre-backs who are already better than Ben White immediately. And those 3 centre-backs that I'm talking about are Thiago Silva, Rudiger and Christensen, and then I'd even go as far as to say that Azpilicueta is also a better centre-half than Ben White as well. And I know that that sounds like a very negative, harsh way of viewing Ben White as a player. I think he's a very, very good player. But after what I saw at the end of last season, I think if Chelsea are going to invest that kind of money in a centre-back, in my opinion, it needs to be somebody who comes in and is a serious level above any of the other players that were playing in those positions at the end of the season. You look at Rudiger's performance in the final, outstanding. You look at Christensen right now for Denmark, arguably the best centre-back in the competition at the Euros. Azpilicueta is scoring goals for Spain, is Champions League captain for Chelsea, and then you've got Thiago Silva, the small matter of flipping Thiago Silva, who puts in a man-of-the-match performance for Brazil against Peru in the Copa America semi-final, I think it was. Chelsea have got so many good centre-backs. Ben White, I think he's a good player. If you'd have asked me this 3 months ago, I'd have turned around and said, yeah, this would be a good signing for Chelsea. I'm not confident enough yet with the centre-backs that we have at the club, but I think he's a good player. So I'm going to give it a yellow. And in terms of the probability that it's going to happen, / whether I'd like it to happen or not, going to give this one a 3 out of 10. I don't think he's quite good enough to displace any of the existing centre-backs at the club. We move into the next story, and it is regarding Thomas Tuchel's stance on Reece James, who came out as a reported target for Manchester City, but at the same time, and not quite surprisingly, to be honest, because obviously Tuchel was managing Marquinhos at Paris Saint-Germain, Tuchel is interested in bringing Marquinhos to Chelsea. For me, this one is kind of similar to the pursuit of Hakimi, where Hakimi can play in multiple positions across the back line. It isn't going to be a cheap signing. The good thing is Marquinhos has played under Thomas Tuchel before, and he can play in various different positions, be it centre-back, CDM, even right wing-back could be an option for Marquinhos as well. He's a very, very useful player, and I'd say he's one of the best in the world at what he does and the versatility that he offers. So, for this one, I think in terms of probabilities of stories happening at this point, there's nothing really concrete yet from Chelsea in terms of expressing interest and making moves for Marquinhos to come. However, from a personal standpoint, I would absolutely love to see this one happen. It wouldn't be a cheap signing, but I'm giving this one a green light. I would love to see Thomas Tuchel go for it. Problem at the moment is I don't really see it happening. I think if Chelsea are going to go for a player like Marquinhos, I think we'd have probably heard a little bit more about it in advance. And I think at the moment there's no movement. So I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. I'd really like it to happen. I just don't think it will. And we move into story number 5, and it comes from the French newspapers, reported yesterday on Twitter through Simon Phillips. We all know that Manchester United have been heavily linked with a move for Edouard Camavinga, 18 years old, plays for Lille, very, very good player, and Lille are supposedly willing to accept an offer this summer of around £25 million, which of course is a little bit of a bargain when we talk about this potential conversation that is always prevalent with young players. Camavinga is one of the best young French talents in the world right now, or at least in France. So the fact that Chelsea have supposedly entered the conversation at this moment in time, as somebody who likes to read a lot of journalism regarding Chelsea Football Club, of course, because I report the news here on GBFC, I would wait a little bit more to see if Chelsea make any progressive movements with this one. At the moment, it's only being reported by a few small French news outlets on social media. So, Camavinga, my thoughts on this one, I think he's a very, very good player. I think in terms of potential, again, 25 million could end up being a steal. I am a little bit concerned that it would jeopardise the progress and potential of Billy Gilmour, but of course, you mentioned yesterday that the Norwich loan move is a good one for him. So, Camavinga to Chelsea. I think he's a great player for his age. I think he's definitely got something. But again, Declan Rice. I really want to see Declan Rice come to Chelsea. I think Declan is more of a complete, rounded player at this moment in time compared to Camavinga. And if Chelsea have got the money to break the bank for Declan Rice, I think if we go for Camavinga, it ruins that transfer over the course of the next couple of years for Chelsea. Because I don't think we'd end up going for Declan Rice at all if we went for Camavinga this year. Into the final story of the day, and it's a bit of an open-ended one again, and it's one that I really would like to hear you guys' opinions on in the comments down below, and it is regarding Danny Ings. Danny Ings has rejected a new 4-year deal at Southampton because, well, I say because no one really knows, but the probability is that Danny Ings wants to challenge himself again now that he's a bit more injury-free at a bigger club. We've spoken about this one before. Danny Ings was supposedly an option for Chelsea as a striker if we cannot go out and secure the services of Erling Haaland. Danny Ings, wonderful goal-scoring record. He's still at a very, very good age in the prime years of his career. I would actually like to see Chelsea go for Danny Ings, whether both Giroud and Tammy Abraham leave this summer, then maybe Chelsea are in the conversation to bring in a top striker in terms of the big name, and also Danny Ings, maybe, or if we can't get Haaland, or if we can't get Lukaku, Danny Ings is a proven Premier League goal scorer, and it wouldn't be a bad signing at all. And then the camera decided to overheat itself, so I have to finish this on the phone. Given Danny Ings a yellow, and same as Camavinga, I'd like to wait to see how this one progresses. If there's any external reasons or quotes that come out as to why Danny Ings rejects his new Southampton contract, then maybe it's because of advances behind the scenes from clubs like Chelsea who are looking for a striker. So I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. These news stories, I think as this week develops and the Euros completes itself, or we complete the Euros, Chelsea transfer news, I 100% expected to start hotting up. I think a lot of people are currently worried on social media because Man United are making moves. There are concrete pursuits coming now from United for other players, as well as the secured signing of Jadon Sancho. Chelsea fans, don't worry about it. I think it's always good when it's quiet behind the scenes at Chelsea, especially in recent times. Marina Granovskaya, Roman, they're doing the work, and I expect to see things happening very, very soon. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy today's Chelsea news video, let me know all your thoughts on all the stories in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. We're the champions of Europe. I'll see you all later. Come on, you Blues.